Now, in terms of if the players like the jerseys or not, I can tell you for an absolute fact, they are the most excited about the throwbacks. And it kind of makes me wonder why they didn't just go back to the throwbacks full time.
Welcome back to another episode of the Broncos Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Amir Farrell, with my co-host, Jay Mack. And as you guys can tell, we have a guest back on the show today. We had him on last year. We had Mario Vetanze on, the man behind all the Broncos jersey information and news and all that. Everyone blowing up your phone about that. If you guys don't know, Mario was literally the first person on social media to announce it last year and during the summer that the Broncos will be unveiling new uniforms. We just got some news yesterday on Tuesday that the Broncos will be unveiling their new uniforms on April 22nd. So super excited to see those. Mario knows a lot about those uniforms. We're going to go ahead and jump into some draft content. But before we jump into all that and more, Mario, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, bro. I always love coming on your show. At some point, I'm going to talk crap about Patrick Chiodo because that just needs to become a thing. And I remember you've grown so much and this podcast has become so huge, bro. I felt like last time I was on it, not that it would I'm ever doing anybody any favors to do this, but I'm like, maybe I can help them out, and bring some people to the podcast. But Amir, you're at the point now, bro, where you're doing me a solid. You're having me on, you're going to let me promote my shit. That's what I'm talking about, dog. So it's just first maybe I'm helping you out a little bit. But now, you're reaching out to this old man having me on your show. I so appreciate you. I don't appreciate you having me follow Ryan Edwards. That's kind of messed up. I hold myself in pretty high regard with this stuff. And if there's one person that I cannot begin to measure up to is absolutely the GOAT, Ryan Edwards.
Hey man, you've been on the show twice. He's only been on once. You can flex over him on that.
But he's a bigger star than me. That's the thing. One of his appearances equal 5 of mine.
Yeah, we brought up the I can't remember. I think it was the Justin Fields thing where I said if we trade for Justin Fields, I would draw, what, on my forehead. I brought it up on the show and we got a good laugh about it. That was an awesome episode last week. You guys didn't see that. Make sure you guys check it out. Also, J-Mac, how are you doing, brother? It's good to have you back on the show.
Doing good, man. Really just exams been killing me. I can't even lie, but I'm glad all my exams over with until about maybe another 2 weeks, so I'm chilling.
Absolutely, man. Let's go ahead and all the Broncos' new uniform information. Let's talk about it. I had a lot of people. Before we had the show, I went into a few of my group chats and asked them, what do you guys want to know about the uniforms and everything? So compiled a list of questions. Mario, would you say the concept of the new uniforms are more representative of the past or something that's very brand new, something how we're kind of seeing with the Texans and the Falcons where everything's super modern with how they're releasing their new uniforms? What would you say is or is it kind of both?
Well, so based on what I've heard, and I just want to clear this up right now in case anybody doesn't know, I haven't seen them. Only people inside the building have actually seen them, touched them, felt them. So if there's anybody out there who's claiming that they saw him, but they're not in no way associated with the inner workings of the team, they're lying. So everything that I put out there, it was basically dictated to me by multiple sources of people who have actually seen them, who have held the jerseys. So I just want to clear that up really quick. Okay. So I have never seen them with my own eyes. So objectively, I can't say, oh yeah, they're fire or, oh no, they're trash. But what I was told is it's not necessarily a throwback, and a big reason is because they are going back, they're bringing back the throwbacks. So the same way we saw with the Seahawks, the Titans, I think the Buccaneers had one, and then the Eagles. So they all kind of got to bring back those gorgeous throwbacks that they had. Those 90s throwbacks, these ones right here, those are coming back. I think they could either wear them 2 or 3 times for the season. So I think because they were getting those throwbacks back is why they didn't want to go with a more old school look. So from what I was told, it's it's sleek. It's a little bit more modern, but it's not thank God it's not the gradient like the Falcons. I don't know how you guys feel. I think that's a terrible look. That's a flag football jersey. Okay. I can't do it. And it sounds like it's more akin to the Texans, right? Because the Texans made some minor changes, their font was different, the coloring was different. it wasn't like huge. Like at first glance, you might not even notice that there were that big of a difference. There were that big differences. I was told that there's like a lot of there's a lot of attention to detail. There's a lot of little specific things. But I wouldn't read too much into that. I don't think it's going to be like you're watching on TV and you're going to see all of these little minor things that you pick up on. I don't think that's going to be it. It's like when you're holding it in front of you or you see it up close. It was kind of like how the snow-capped helmets, they had like the kind of drizzling or whatever effect that they had on it. But when you're watching it on TV, they look like white helmets. So I think just like little minute details like that. The most important thing from what I was told is that the stripe that was on the side of the jersey, that parentheses stripe is gone. Thank God. So we won't have any other mismatched colors, but they're doing that. So, and I was told that they think that the pants have the stripe, but then they'll be able to kind of change out and have a lot of different color combinations. So orange, white, and blue pants, orange, white, and blue tops from what I was told. And the one thing that I can't seem to get confirmed from the people that I've talked to is helmet color. Like I had heard that they're still staying with navy, but it's maybe more of like a matte navy. But then they're also keeping the whites, but then they also get the throwback, like these kind of royal blue helmets. But then I was also under the impression that you can't have more than 2 helmets. So I don't know if that changed, but that's like the one big question mark that remains to me that no one can seem to confirm. But yeah, like I said, I don't think that they're going to be anything over the top. I think they're going to be pretty sleek. I don't think it's going to be anything like super loud and in your face, which I think is good. I think basic is nice with just like a few little cutting edge things that, you know, might not show up unless you're really close. And from what I was told, like the people that I spoke to liked them. They said they're good. They said that they're an improvement, which I think is important. But they're going to pale in comparison to the throwbacks. And the way that I see it going, guys, is a lot of people are going to like them. And then there are going to be people that absolutely hate them and refuse to ever buy another jersey because that's how fans are. And more specifically, that's how Bronco fans are.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's like I'm kind of hoping that they don't change it up entirely too much, but I am really interested to really see the helmet because I think you got a point. I think teams can only have 2 helmets. I think it's only 2 because I remember when the Texans rebranded, they just added 1 helmet, and then the Eagles, when they did theirs too, they only added 1 helmet. And I think the Titans, theirs is 1, and I think they put the Oiler throwback logo on it. So I mean, I'm pretty sure if it's another helmet, it's gonna be like the throwback one, like kind of like, you know, on your shirt, the throwback with the D on the helmet and stuff like that. I'm just hoping they don't butcher it, man, and just come up with something that completely thrown off that we just get caught off guard with.
Yeah, another thing, there's been a lot of mocks on like Twitter. Tim Contact, shout out to you, Tim. And I think we got like a little bit a tidbit from, I think it was like KOA Colorado, that like Damani Leach literally was like getting like recommendations from the players, like here's what I saw on Twitter, and they were like, as they're going through that process, what do you think? I know you haven't seen them, but do you know if there's anything like relatively close, but like what's been mocked out there by these graphic designers? And then also, I know you already mentioned this, but what do the players think about them? Because I know you know some of the players.
Yeah, so I will say, like, the people that I talked to, I had asked them, like, have you seen any mock-ups where it's like, yes, that's the jersey? And, you know, it kind of depends on the mock-ups that they've seen, right? So it's well within reason to say that there is a mock-up that exists that looks like the jerseys or is similar. But the people that I talked to, they said from what they had seen that there weren't any mock-ups where you're like, yes, that's what they look like. Yeah. I was told like there were certain concepts. So like people are really, I think, overreaching on some of these concepts. Like there's going to be some sort of like mountainous type of design, but you know, I was told it was subtle. They had a hard time describing what exactly like the mountain thing was on the shoulder. So it sounds like, you know, it's just going to be like a little subtle thing that's going to be part of the design kind of up here. But yeah, as far as I know, I think people are going just a little bit overboard on some of those edits, and I don't envy their job. And yeah, Tim Contick does such a great job, and so many of his graphics are so incredibly well done. I could never do this, and I would never do this because it's like even having everything described to me mentally, I can't even conceptualize it, right? And I feel like there's so much information, there's so much that was given to me. Like for instance, apparently there's going to be some sort of 5280 on the pant. It's going to be small. It's not going to be like really big and obnoxious down the leg, but it will exist, right? Maybe it's small stitching. Maybe it's something that you don't even see. And it's just one of these little minor details. Now, in terms of if the players like the jerseys or not, I can tell you for an absolute fact, they are the most excited about the throwbacks. And it kind of makes me wonder why they didn't just go back to the throwbacks full time. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say it's because the Walton Penner group kind of wants their own mark on this franchise. You know, they want to like move on from the Bullen era, so to speak, and then everything that kind of preceded it. So it's like, all right, so here's the Bullen era. Then we had that kind of dead area where we weren't really sure what was going on. And then it was the Walton Penner group. And so I think that was the big reason that they didn't just go back. Because, I mean, I don't know if you guys are with me, but the overwhelming majority of Bronco fans that I saw on Twitter and ones that I've talked to, it's like, just go back to the throwbacks. It's so easy. They're right there. Just modernize them a little bit. There were so many. I know Tim did some great mock-ups of that. Boggins did a couple really, really gorgeous mock-ups of the old school jerseys. So I know that they're all really, really excited. Like the players that I've talked to, they're the most excited to wear the throwback uniforms. And none of the guys that I've talked to have anything negative to say about the new jerseys.
I'm personally, man, I can't get on board with the throwbacks, if I'm being honest.
That's because you're a fetus and you don't remember the
Okay.
Man, look, I'm not gonna lie.
Back
I would
in
love
my
the baby blue
day.
to come back. I would love the baby blue to come back. I feel like if they brought the baby blue back, man, that'd be hard.
Fetus is crazy. Sure. This is crazy. But
you kids with your modern looks and your TV
dude,
sets.
like I just want something that's new. It looks different. Like me personally, I think the uniforms are fine how they are right now. Like if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the home jerseys at the bottom corners. You see Sutton, Simmons. I think I would like to see them be tweaked. I don't want them to, like J-Mac said, like completely just like change the whole thing. But I'm not a big fan of the throwback D logo. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not a big fan of the baby blue either. So I'm totally
like the D. That's a noteworthy point of this podcast.
I love the baby blue. The baby blue would be so tough.
I am fine with it, like maybe twice a season, like how he's mentioning. That's a W, in my opinion. But
yeah, no, I don't want the baby blue like as like one of our home or away uniforms.
Please, no.
I'm not saying that. No.
Yeah,
that's too much. But I mean, I would love it as an alternate.
Yeah. Also, I think we heard a little bit about like the color staying the same and all that. That's true, right? And then like all like the stripe, also the mountain emblems. I don't know if you mentioned that. Is that like a thing that's going to be on the new uniforms? And if so, like, do you know if it's going to be like noticeably like big on the shoulder pads or whatever?
Yeah, so that was one of the parts where it's like the people that I talked to, they had a hard time describing it, and all that I can take that to mean is that it's just subtle, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to be like there's a literal mountain range on the shoulder. There's not going to be like big ass triangles that are there. It's going to be, I assume, like kind of melded into the jersey. Like I think a lot of the things, it's just really subtle, specific details, but nothing that's going to like really catch your eye in a negative way or like distract from the rest of the jersey. I think it's imperative that they're keeping the colors the same. I think it's great that they're kind of making it so that you can mix and match pants and tops. I think that's something that we've wanted to see for a long time, because honestly, in that London game when they went with the white tops, blue pants, I love that look. I love the dark pants with the white top, but the freaking stripe made it look so idiotic because they just mix match the color. So now that they're getting rid of the stripe on the top, you don't have to worry about that. They can cycle through all the different pants and jerseys. And yeah, I like I said, I don't know a lot about the mountain range, but it just sounds like all the stuff, like all of the aspects of it that I've put out there. It used to be my pinned tweet. I think it's gone, but I'll probably, rub it in a lot of people's faces when the jerseys are announced, and then like it matches up with everything that I said. Because I had a lot of like weird haters kind of like telling me that I'm a nobody and that I don't know anything. And I'm like, yeah, for the most part, you are dead on. But I promise you, like, I'm literally just trying to convey information here. And it's crazy how mad some people will be where I'm like, here, just take this information. They're like, no, I don't want it. You're a piece of shit. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's Twitter for you. That's literally the life and day of Twitter. I am always on like the following page, never on the for you. And honestly,
Yep,
like looking at
100%.
comments in general is just like toxic sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Let's go and transition to the draft and all that. What are you thinking about what the Broncos do in the first round, Mario? Let's say you're GM of the Denver Broncos. What would you do if you have the 12th overall pick? The board starts. Let's say Caleb goes 1, 2, Jane Daniels goes 2. What are you doing if you're the GM?
I'm standing pat. I think there are quarterbacks that I like in the draft. Like realistically, I think it would be JJ McCarthy or Drake May. I think, like you said, Williams is obviously going 1. I think it's really leaning in the direction of Jaden Daniels going 2 to Washington. And if it's not, I mean, it's going to be a quarterback. I don't even know who they have on the roster right now. Oh no, I think it's Mariota, right?
Yeah.
Which would then lead you to believe that Jaden Daniels is the closest guy to that, and then maybe that's why they brought in Mariota. But anyway, I don't think that I'm prepared to go as high as 3 and 4. Because here's the thing: it's like I understand that you have to go up and get your quarterback. I completely understand that. That is such a long way to go. And if God forbid you miss and you've given up your first round pick next year and the following year, and then probably 2 additional picks with those, you're setting your franchise back for another 5 to 10 years. And so unless it's somebody that Sean Payton 100% in his heart of hearts believes in, which I honestly just don't see at this point, I think you stand pat. You wait and see if a Drake May or a JJ McCarthy maybe falls to like 5 or 6, because I think then the linchpin there is the Giants. Like maybe the Giants take a quarterback, maybe they take a receiver. It feels like it's going to be one of the two. If there are any Drew Lock truthers out there, maybe you just assume that Drew Lock's finally going to get a fair shot and he's going to be the Giants starting quarterback and they're not going to draft one. But in like this hypothetical situation, when you're letting it go, if one of those guys falls further, like outside of the top 4, and in my estimation, it would be either McCarthy or May, that maybe they make it to 6 or 7. At that point, I'm 100% trading up. I feel much better about going up to like 7 than I do about going up to 3 or 4, especially if you're having to compete with the Minnesota Vikings, who have 2 first rounders this year, including 9. Like they have more firepower and it's going to be easier for them to go up. Are you willing to like match and then exceed the price of what they're going to be able to pay? Me personally, I'm saying no. This is like, it's such a crapshoot every year, and to just mortgage your entire future on an already depleted roster, on a roster that is already like so devoid of so much talent because of all the departures that we've seen this year. It's like, even if you do hit on that quarterback, but it's not like a home run, it's like a double, then you're still not looking at a really good team, because then there's not a lot around him, because you've traded the farm and you've traded the future to get this guy with no plan of like filling in the team around him. So I think as difficult as it might be for some Bronco fans to hear, I think you have to be patient. I think you have to trust the process. If those guys don't fall out of the top 4, like if the first 4 picks are quarterbacks, which I think is a very real possibility, I'm perfectly fine with them not going up. And then with Bo Nix, who, you know, he's being mocked a lot to Denver. I think currently he has the best betting odds to be drafted by the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
I like Bo Nix. I do not like him at 12 overall. And again, I know people are going to say, well, if you want your quarterback, you just have to go get him. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But if you could trade back into the first round and still get him, I think that would be ideal. And then for the people who want to say, well, then you miss out on him. Well, if you miss out on him and somebody takes him in the teens, then you miss out on him and you let that team have him somewhere in the teens, because I just don't see that high of a ceiling. Like maybe he's a guy that can run Sean Payton's offense really well, and maybe he's going to be a really solid NFL quarterback, but he's just not that upper echelon guy. And like, for me, he's not worth a top 12 pick. He's not worth a pick in the teens. Like I would feel much more comfortable if it's towards the back end of the first round, you're able to load up on picks. Because I just think 12 is an overdraft. And the people who are like, well, if you really believe in your quarterback and go get him. Yeah. I just don't think that Bo Nix is that guy. You know, Bo Nix is the guy where it's like, if you're able to trade back and he's still there, great, take him, but you're not going to like sell the farm for him, right? That's just that's how I am. Because it's like if you miss out on him, you're gonna be okay. It's not like missing out on Bo Nix is gonna ruin your franchise. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I'm here over there laughing because I've been a Bo Nix guy. Like I picked Bo Nix to Denver since the start of this whole quarterback stuff. But I did want to I do agree with you on a lot of what you said as far as trading up wise. I think it's gonna be 4 quarterbacks, but I agree with you on that part as far as trading up. But like out of all the quarterbacks that's projected to go first round, who in your opinion is your personal favorite? Like if you were like if it was your pick, who's the guy that you want?
I mean, the obvious answer is Caleb Williams, right?
I mean,
I know it's not realistic.
Yeah.
I just have to
but
say that. I don't give a shit what color he paints his nails. I don't give a damn what color his freaking phone case is. If that fool wants to wear lip gloss, lipstick, freaking eyeliner, I do not give a rat's ass, bro. You act, look, dress however you want. As long as we get the skill set that we saw at USC in the pros, then that's fine. I just wanted to say that for, all the belligerent people out there that have talked themselves into not liking Caleb Williams because he's a unique individual. Like, get over yourself.
I'll paint my nails with him.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. If he was somehow, some way in an alternate universe, a Denver Bronco, and on draft day he comes up and he's got his nails painted, guess what? Right then and there, I'm running to Ulta or whatever the freaking place is called where you can get nail polish, and I'm asking my wife the best brand to get, and I'm saying I need the Caleb Williams color, and I'm doing that because I'm not an ignorant sorry, I almost said a bad word. I'm not an ignorant person. So we're not. Anyway, let's move on from that. The guys that I really like, I mean, in terms of like Sean Payton's system, I really like JJ McCarthy really from the jump, just because he struck me as a Sean Payton guy. I never thought that his stock would ever get this high. I still always saw him as like a late first, early second quarterback who you take later on because he's so young and he can still develop a skill set, but his, draft stock is skyrocketed. I don't see him being like a top 4 pick, but maybe I'm crazy. And then aside from him, it's Drake May. Like, I've liked Drake May from the very beginning. There's been so much weird shit that's going on with him in terms of like his draft stock and people trying to say that, he can't play or he didn't put out good film. And it's like, if you didn't think that he put out good film, I would love to know what film you think that you're watching, because Drake May is a phenomenal quarterback. And if you look back at what he was able to do at North Carolina last year with a porous offensive line, with no real weapons to throw to, with no run game, he was absolutely incredible. And I know Devontae Walker eventually, like midway through the season, made his way onto the team, and he was fine. He'll probably be like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, and he was good. But again, for most of the season, Drake May didn't have him. And then when he finally had him, it still takes time to gel with your receivers. I mean, he had just transferred and they hadn't been playing together. So I think that's a big aspect that you got to look at, especially when you're comparing him to guys like Jaden Daniels, who's throwing to 2 first-round wide receivers. Not that that's a knock on him at all, because Joe Burrow had the same thing and it turned out great for him. But in terms of the evaluation process, it's like, all right, well, how would Drake May look in the LSU offense? Probably as good or better than Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, but it's a hard comp because they're 2 different quarterbacks. So anyway, in terms of like being a complete player, and I actually heard this from Patrick Chiotti. I'm going to talk crap about him later, but I really like what he told me today, like a comp he heard, is that Drake May has Josh Allen's brain in Justin Herbert's body. And I'm like, sign me all the way up for that.
I like that. I wrote about this on Predominantly Orange the other day, and I've gone a lot about it back and forth on the pod. I love Drake May so much. He personally is like right there with Caleb Williams in my eyes. I think that highly of him. I do think there's a world where he does fall a little bit in this draft. I don't know. I get that feeling, that sense. I do think he could go as high as 2, but I also think he could fall a little bit to maybe around that 7th pick. You never know. I don't know what the Giants are so confusing as well to me. Like, I could definitely see them taking a quarterback, but if they, for whatever reason, just roll with Drew Lock and Daniel Jones, and there's a world where Drake May does fall down a little bit and the Patriots don't take a quarterback, I could see that being the guy where we've been using Sean Payton and George Payton, been using JJ McCarthy so much as the guy with the meat, because Sean Payton spoke so much about him. Me and Jordan talked about this. They're constantly pumping up and, putting fuel in this J.J. McCarthy to Denver agenda, where it could be maybe one of those other guys that they do like in this draft. And Drake May could be that guy. He could be that guy that the Broncos really aggressively want to go for, because I'm not completely ruling out the Broncos trading up for one of these guys. And I think Drake May, he could potentially be. I just, at the end of the day, you bring up the film and all that. It's just like logic tells you there's no way Drake May doesn't go like top 5, right? I mean, there's just really no way. But at the end of the day, every year we do see a quarterback that we really think is guaranteed to go top 5 that falls crazy far in the draft. And recency film with Drake May, a lot of people for whatever reason don't like what he had on film. So you never know. But it's an interesting topic. And at the end of the day, so personally, in your opinion, do you think the Broncos, what do you think they will do? I know what you want the Broncos to do. What do you think they will do if you had to tell right now? I know it's smoke screen season. We still got like a whole 3-4 weeks left, but what do you think?
It's so hard to say, man, because I really think it all depends on how the board falls. If one of these really good tackles falls to them at 12, Sean Payton likes taking first round offensive linemen. I could definitely see them drafting a tackle at 12. Then you have your left tackle for the next 10 years, and then Garrett Bowles either becomes a trade candidate or a release candidate. And, I think that's well within reason, because even though, he's locked down the left side for a long time, I have a hard time believing that when his contract is up next year that they're going to want to bring him back, especially at the price point that Garrett is probably going to want. It's like Garrett's going to hold himself in this high regard, and then the Broncos are going to kind of value him probably somewhere around here. And so you can move on from that. I think that's a real possibility. I think, if a really good defensive tackle is there or an edge is there, like that could make a lot of sense. Ideally, you would like to see them trade back and hopefully add in a second-round pick. I think not having a second-round pick is brutal this year. And something to keep in mind with this draft, the reason that this draft is going to be so different from others is because this is now the draft where we're going to start seeing the effects of COVID. There are a lot of guys that got extra years of eligibility that are spending more years in college. And so from what I've heard from a lot of people who have covered the draft for a really long time, is that this is an incredibly top-heavy draft. There's a lot of really good guys kind of between rounds 1 and 2, and then a little bit into rounds 3. But then when you start getting into those later days, the talent drops off significantly, according to a lot of these guys, because so many players with that extra year of eligibility, and now with all the transfer rules, they stayed in college for an extra year. And so now this is a bit of a depleted draft class. So you're going to see guys going, in the 3rd or 4th round, who in other years would probably be 6th, 7th round talents. Mm-hmm. So I think that would make it so much more imperative to have a second round pick this year. So ideally, like what I would think they would do just from a logic standpoint, because they don't have a lot of draft picks, especially on premium, like in terms of like the top 100, if you're able to trade back, if you can add a second round pick, even if it's a late second round pick or like a really early 3rd round pick, you have a little bit more flexibility to maneuver. I think that would be ideal. But again, this is the catch-22 of it. If you're going to trade back into the 1st round and add a pick, you have to hope that a really good player falls to you at 12, a player good enough to where another team wants to trade up for him. But then the caveat is, if that player is so good that a team is trading up for him specifically, that means that you are missing out on a really good player yourself. And a team, again, that is devoid of a lot of superstars and a lot of like dense talent, you hate to pass up like premier players like that.
I think they're going to take quarterback. I brought up a few pods ago on how brutal not having a second round pick is. I mean, just because of how many needs the Broncos still kind of have to address, not having that pick. I mean, it would make logic to trade down, but I think the Broncos, I think they're really hell bent on getting a quarterback here. I've seen a lot of the mock drafts with Dallas Turner and a lot of those tackles and things like that. But I think Sean Payton knows you got to take a quarterback here, unless as the draft goes along, we hear stuff about Bo Nix maybe getting taken later in the rounds. I just don't know if they want to take that chance, because the Raiders are sitting right behind us at 13 and they need a quarterback.
Listen, man, we just need Drake May to like get a DUI, or maybe, you know, someone goes back like 8 years ago and they find some inappropriate tweets of his, you know, that maybe he forgot, you know, maybe he was just quoting rap lyrics and it just got taken out of context. You know, that's what we need to have happen with someone like Drake May or JJ McCarthy. You know, let the free fall start. And then the Broncos, that way we don't have to trade up for Drake May or JJ McCarthy. And it's like, yeah, well, you know, he's a bad driver and he maybe has a little bit of a drinking problem, but he's a good quarterback and we'll take that. And you know what? I would be okay with that because the Chiefs have built a freaking franchise over drafting shithead players and nobody seems to care. It's like, my God, it seems like every month a different effing Chiefs player gets arrested for something stupid and everybody acts like it doesn't happen because, oh, they're really good at football. Why can't we be like that?
Yeah,
because we have morals. It sucks.
You want the Laramie Tunsil situation. Yeah, I feel you. But I mean,
I need to see Drake May in a bong mask that he got specifically from Sean Payton because you know Sean Payton is ripping bong hits, okay?
Hey, if John Elway found out about Drake May drinking, he would sell the farm and move up for him, just saying, if he was still the GM. But
he would have to be like 6'8", though. That's the problem.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the only way I kind of see the Broncos trading up is if one of those guys fall to 6. I don't see us trading inside the top 4. I just think it's a lot of, you got to move a lot of capital. But I do think a lot of people are, I don't know what the Cardinals are asking for, but I think a lot of people may be far-fetching how much they want for that pick. But then again, I don't think, I think it was Albright. Somebody said that it was 3 first, mid-round pick in Cortland Sutton. Like, it's no way in hell that Broncos are going to give that up.
Regardless, the Vikings are gonna
100%.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Yeah. But I think I think 4 quarterbacks go in the top 4. I see Minnesota moving up to take JJ there, unless JJ goes 3. But I definitely think JJ goes up there, like within the top 5 range. And if Drake May does fall, I can see us moving up to a 6 with the Giants and trying to get him there. But I mean,
that would be best case scenario.
Yeah, that would be best
Drake May
scenario.
Somehow falls.
Yeah.
And like if I Photoshop a picture of him with a big old joint in his hand and it circulates and he drops to 6, you're welcome, Broncos country. And sorry, Drake May, but it'll work out in the long run.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while. I think the top 2 quarterbacks that Denver wants, I know a lot of JJ stuff, but I'm on the board where I think it's a tad bit smokescreen. And I think it's been Drake May and Bo Nix this whole time. I think that they're looking at one of those 2. To me, I think both of them kind of fit his offense really well. Sean Payton's all about timing. He wants the guy who's gonna get the ball out 1-2 drop. And I mean, that's what Bo Nix talked about. Like when he went on the herd with Colin Cowherd, like, I mean, that's what he likes to do, and that's what Sean Payton likes to do. So that's why I'm kind of thinking that the Broncos might just stay at 12, take Bo, because you don't want to risk trading back with like a team like Seattle or something like that, back into the late end of the draft, and then the Raiders take Bo Nix, and now you're looking at Pratt or Rattler or something like that. But I think for sure the Broncos go quarterback, whether that's trading up or staying put. I think it's a quarterback.
Agreed.
If they want, I don't know. I've really struggled with. I respect everybody's mock drafts and everything, but like I think at the end of the day, if the Broncos the Broncos are going to take a quarterback if they love that quarterback, and when you love a quarterback, you're not going to trade down and play this risky game of, oh, can I go ahead and see if I can get him here, or can I take a player here and then maybe trade back up and see if I could, like, if they want him, they're going to take him. But at the end of the day, if they don't love him, I'm fine with them passing him. But I like Bo Nix, 100%. But if they don't love Bo Nix, I'm fine with it. Whatever Sean Payton, if he doesn't think that Bo Nix is worth taking there at 12 or even trading back up for, whatever it is, that he'll do what he wants to do. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Mario, thanks for being on the show, man. You want to go ahead, plug all your socials, shout out everything. I appreciate you for being back on the show. It was a good one until you started bringing up gas max and bongs at the end. But
you never know what you're going to get. It's always a mixed bag with me. I feel like I behaved myself pretty well for most of it. Nah, man, I so appreciate you, Amir. I love what you're doing. Dude, you're killing it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you, man.
Appreciate
you deserve all the success you're getting. And again, anytime you want to have me on, it's an honor, man, and a privilege. And I appreciate you having me on. And J-Mac, good finally doing a show with you, man, and being able to meet you and talk to you a little bit, bro. If you want, follow me on Twitter, @Vetanze Therapy, or don't. I mean, I don't really care. Twitter is a fake place where fake things happen. I already deal with enough. Don't follow me on Instagram because, my life on Instagram is incredibly different from my life on Twitter. If you're interested in what I do, I'm a body worker. I work on a lot of the Bronco players, but I work on normal people as well. Go to my website, vetanzetherapy.com. Specialize in things like trigger point therapy, myofascial release, body balancing, active isolated stretching, do cupping, grafting. Pretty much if you have pain, you come in, you see me, and I'll fix you up. And I think that's the last thing that I want to plug is the fact that I'm just 10 times better as a guest than Patrick Chiotti. I mean, I don't know how that dude keeps getting work. I don't know how he keeps doing shows. Like he's built like a fat rectangle.
God
he's
damn.
Built like one of those dudes from Roblox. Okay, he's got a big square head and he's got a big weird rectangle body, and he's always mad about something. Like,
I love Pat so much, man.
I'm coming for you, Pat. You can't touch me. You're not on my level, Pat.
Oh, the OG's listeners know from last year. Good reference there. But I love Pat, man. We got to get him back on the show. And then I think I mentioned it like on the last time we had you on. We got to get an episode where it's you and Pat on the same screen. That'll probably be like a 2-hour long show, but it might be worth it. So, but if you guys are listening on YouTube, please make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Who do you guys want to have on next on the show? What do you guys think about all the New Jersey stuff? Let us know how excited you guys are for it, what your opinions are on all the draft and all that. But with that being said, I'm your host, Amir Farrell, with my co-host, J-Mac, and today's amazing guest, Mario Vetanze. So the next one, peace out, everybody.